Happy Sunday, happy Sunday, happy Sunday. We're going to jump right into it. This is week 31, late night edition. So jump right into it. You know, like I said, my videos are very organic, and just so you know, I don't do, I really don't do editing. For people that are like into hip hop, this will be called one take, one take. All right. So yeah, I don't go back and do editing and all of that. So every now and then I might misspeak or say something that I correct in my next video. But like I said, I like to keep my channel super organic, and I like to kind of like, I like it to feel as if I'm just meeting someone on the street and having a conversation, right? That's how I like to, keep it 100% organic, not super edited, and that's why I really never went ahead and added any kind of like graphics and stuff to, my channel, even though, I have the Apple computer and everything and the ability, but I just decided that I wanted to keep it super organic and keep it about the material. I wanted to keep it about the conversation, right? This is why, we have the black background, and things of that nature, because the attention should be on the information and not other things, because our attention can be easily swayed with other stuff. So my whole point is to, be attention grabbing and, fill in any gaps when it comes to health information, right? So like I said, as promised, week 31, we pretty much stayed the same, no weight loss. About that. Now, I think that this side of my journey is going to kind of probably be that way, where I go a week, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, and not really lose, and then boom, I have a decent loss. And when I say a decent loss, I mean, I could lose like 4 pounds, you know what I mean, when I haven't lost like that. And it's okay, because having almost lost nearly 80 pounds and only having about 30 or 40 pounds to go, obviously, I'm not going to be losing 10 or 12 pounds a month, the same way I did in the beginning, right? I'll probably lose 5 or 6, which makes perfect sense, right? Because I'm a lower weight. When I'm 240 pounds is much different than 320 pounds, right? So your weight loss is going to be a bit different because your body, has adjusted, and I did titrate down to 7.5, right? And instead of 10, even though I know 10, if I was on 10 right now, I probably would still have a bit more of a speedier weight loss. But now I'm realistically just looking at ensuring that I just continue to lose the right way by doing all of the things, right? Which is something that I regularly do anyway. I do all of the things, and when I say all of the things, we mean like the workouts, the hydration, the eating the proper foods, taking your shot every week, stuff like that. I guess I should go back to the beginning of the week. So I had a consultation for the surgery that I mentioned in the previous videos. My surgery is going to be next month, about a month from now. So I'll be pretty much out of work for about 10 weeks, right? 2 weeks off my feet and then 8 weeks healing, right? So like I said, I did start these chair exercises yesterday, and I like to put some respect on the chair exercises because they they give you a run for your money. You can do a lot of stuff from a chair. You know what I mean? Like the fitness person I was following was really getting after it. So it definitely is not a cheat. It's definitely, you think you're in a chair, you ain't doing. I felt probably just as worked out as I did when I'm standing and squatting. So yeah, it's really something. Had my ab muscle sore and things of that nature. But anyway, I looked into that because with me being not necessarily on my feet for about 10 weeks, I just wanted to make sure that I was pretty much still getting the proper, cardio and movement, right? So that's why I seen a need to go ahead and, figure out another way to still be active, even though I can't be on my feet, right? Because I don't want to, gain weight or, interrupt the process, right? I also am considering going back to the 10, probably either in September or October, because those are probably the months, September, October, November are the months I will be out of or not able to, move around the same way I normally would with me healing. And I don't want to have the increased snacking, because honestly, I was on steroids for a good 7 or 8 days, and that definitely increased my snacking, along with being on 7.5. And I noticed it a lot. Obviously, being on vacation, more of a staycation, because I didn't really take a trip, but just being off, and I found myself snacking more than I have all year. You know what I mean? And luckily, it didn't really affect my weight too much. But like I said, I do want to avoid that, over that 10-week period. So I am thinking about titrating back to the 10, at least for a month or two, just to see what that, if that will help to contain like that, and also to get me, to my goal. So obviously in August, my goal is to, prior to the surgery, try to get some pounds down and get a little bit closer to my goal. Obviously my ultimate goal is 210, which I'm about 32 pounds away from. So if I can, maybe get 10 pounds off before my actual surgery, then, I can look at, probably being, maybe 20 pounds or so away from my, ultimate goal, which will still be great because, again, I'm just a little more than 7 months into the journey. So I think that, I'm still doing great. It's not, and I always have to remind myself, right? I've lost nearly 80 pounds, right? I've never done that before, lost that much weight. So to lose that, and especially in 7 months, I feel like is a definite big achievement, right? Because that's not something that people do, regularly. That's a good deal of weight. Obviously I know 100 pounds is kind of like that holy grail type numbers, where people are like, wow, you did that. You know what I mean? So, I'm just 20 pounds away from that. You know what I mean? So that's definitely something that I keep in my mind, is to have some patience, with going farther. I'm nearly 80 pounds down right now. So, honestly, and 24% of my body weight has been lost. So I think I'm doing, amazing. In my last video, I did say retatrutide boasted 24% loss in 48 months, but I meant to say weeks, you know what I mean? And I've done it in 30 weeks, less than 30 weeks, actually. So that's what I meant by, I've even beat what the claim is on retatrutide's average, right? The average weight loss was 24% over 48 weeks, and I've done it in 30, right? So I beat that. That's what I mean. So when I really think about that, I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, that is, for me to have already lost 24%, at some point we rival in bariatric surgery, which is just 30%, right? That's the average on that. So, just really like trying to put things in perspective for myself to, just make sure I'm taking my time, because this is certainly not a race. This is life now. This is something that we all pretty much should probably remind ourselves, that this is all about your life. And it's not something that I'm doing for the meantime, And everybody in your life has to really, honestly understand that and get with that, because that's where you are. This is your life. It's not something you're doing. It's something that you are now. I'm a person that is always going to be health conscious going forward, because it's all about prolonging my life. So, and I feel like, you just got to be the example for other people who aren't there yet, so, whoever that might be. So, I think that that's something that we all have to remind ourselves, have some patience with ourselves when we start talking about numbers and things of that nature, because at the end of the day, your body is going through a lot of changes, so with your body going through all of these different changes, you definitely want to make sure that you give your body that time, that it needs to adjust. And over the last seven months, to lose nearly 80 pounds, that's a lot for my body to adjust to, right? So, and then going forward, not necessarily, slowing down, super slow, but just definitely recognizing where, how far, I've come. So that's the thing, right now, just preparing for that surgery, looking at the downtime, planning that out, like I said, because I don't want to go backwards, I want to keep going forward, with my weight loss. So, titrating up to that 10 probably just to help myself. Because like I said, I never really see myself going, and I don't want to say never, but I don't see myself going much any farther than that, only because I'm looking at 12 and a half and 15, really doesn't add much weight loss for you, beyond that point. Not no more than, let's say, 2%, for the most part. Some people that have titrated up to that, I do understand why. They hit stalls and things of that nature and wanted to really, kind of move the needle. So I won't say never, ever, ever, but just knowing the effects that the medication have for me, I don't necessarily see the need. However, me going from 7.5 to 10 is a different thing, because 10 and 15 are the doses that, Eli, has saw throughout the trials that actually promote the most weight loss, right? So there's that. I mean, that's all. That's kind of like my personal things and thoughts that are going on with me. I did say I would continue to bring the other news, because I know as it gets farther and farther and farther in weight loss, it really kind of like dials down. It gets kind of boring because you're just losing the pound here, pound there. And then when I say, monthly, probably losing 4 or 5 pounds, and you're not losing this big 10, 12, or what have you, large amount of weight. But, like I said, it's all relative and still important, because everybody's at different places in the journey, right? So I still like to talk about it. But moving on to other news, like I did recap on my short, and I want to make a quick point about that. I did make a short the other day of myself in Whole Foods picking up some ribeye, because everybody know I like ribeye, and I do get my protein via ribeye steaks, what have you, because it's an easy way to get 120 to 150 grams of protein in one shot, with one piece of meat. So I just showed myself shopping, me and my son was in Whole Foods, and I said, hey, I'm gonna just shoot myself getting my steak, and that short picked up over 1,000 views in less than a day. In less than a day. So I don't know what was. I mean, I didn't know that would be that interesting, but nonetheless it was, and it picked up a whole lot of views. So. Shout out to everybody that's viewing the page, and then my subscribers actually starting to creep up. I can actually do a live now, which I've been waiting for. So that should be pretty decent. I am supposed to be on live with Tracy Zatwan, I think Wednesday at 7. I think her and she is Tamika, I believe. Some of the respected content creators out there. We were talking about it on her live, and I said, hey, no problem. I jump on. So I know I also talked about going on it's Vanity's page on one of her lives. So that might be a thing where you will see me, and I am, like I said, more than likely going to send an email to Lorraine over at the Downsize and do a more full-length interview, because I like people to see people like myself who look like me on the journey as an example, because there are a lot of men, especially African American males, that are kind of like hiding in the wings and that are on the journey, or either thinking about it, and I want them to go ahead and step out and take that leap and get healthy, for themselves, number one, and then also for their families and longevity, right? So that's the thing. But I just wanted to mention it, because I noticed that's like I got over 1,000 views on a 10-second video of me grabbing a piece of meat, whereas I got other videos, pumping out decent information, and I don't have that many views, even though I do have a few that are close, but none like that quickly, just in a matter of a few hours. So I said, well, maybe I should make my shorts a lot shorter, because I know I've been known to do about like 3 minutes. Maybe I should do them for about 20 seconds, and I probably pick up a bunch more followers. But yeah, I am looking forward to going live and just talking to people and getting that feedback and having those open conversations. I did bring up bioglutide on that new quad agonist that is in early phases of investigational research. But today, if you look at my page, I do post a lot of graphs and things, and I went over the orforglipron and how I was saying that that wasn't it didn't. I guess, hit the ground the way I think Eli thought it might, with the investors not seeing it that way. So when I said that in that short, by no way am I saying that, orforglipron is not a good thing, because it is, because it's just another option. But what I mean is, it's just not for the amount of money that Eli Lilly is known to charge. Even though we don't know what the price is, it's never really cheap. And so when you actually putting out a product that people are spending a lot of hard-earned money for, they want certain results. Will that be good for maintenance? Absolutely. It probably will be very good for people that are in maintenance, But for somebody that's just jumping on a journey that's clinically or let's say in class 2 obesity, 7 to 9 pounds ain't it's probably not. 7 to 9% is not enough, And obviously, they saw at the highest 12%, but I don't bring it up because that was at the highest dose, which people didn't tolerate too well, And one dose they even dropped, because this is something you're doing daily, right? So that's what I say that's what's meant, I think, by everybody that's saying that it's probably not what they thought. It's not that it's not good at all. It's just saying that it's not for what it probably will cost doing enough, for it to be, what people are looking for. And on the other hand, yeah, you do have retatrutide, which is coming out very soon, and I think next spring, it'll definitely be out, most likely, early next year or next spring. Next spring for sure, I believe will be out. That is literally like a biological, comprehensive metabolic complete overhaul is what that is. That medication, because obviously there's a lot of researchers out there that got research grade that don't even have the real medication, and they're like highly touting this. So I know once you get the real, I'm talking about the real. Once Eli let it go, oh man, it's going to be. I really think weight loss for that type of drug is literally just a side effect of the product. The product itself is kind of rewiring your whole biology. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally like expanding your lifespan, I believe, or it has the ability to do so. So yeah, I think that Retta is going to be, amazing. So that's why I'm still talking about it, because I think it's literally going to be just so life-changing for, if not myself, but, or those of us that are already on GLP-1s in the community, others, you know what I mean? Like they'll be able to get on that and then just really like hit the ground running, So there's that. But I do want to bring up or kind of leave you guys with another one that Lilly's working on that's kind of like in phase 2, phase 2. It's not necessarily as far as the others, it's not like a phase 3 or what have you. And that's I'll pull it up right quick. So actually I won't mispronounce it, and I'll actually be able to give a little bit of information about it. So bimagrumab is actually what I'm talking about. So I'll read it and then I'll recap before I close the video. Bimagrumab is an investigational monoclonal antibody that targets activin type 2 receptors. It's being developed by Novartis and later by Versanis Bio, now acquired by Lilly, for treating conditions involving pathological muscle loss and weakness, including obesity. It works by blocking these receptors, which limit the negative regulation of skeletal muscle growth, potentially leading to increased muscle mass. And the better breakdown is bimagrumab is a monoclonal antibody that binds to and inhibits activin receptor type 2B, right? So this receptor plays a role in regulating muscle growth, and by blocking it, it can potentially promote muscle growth and reduce muscle loss. So bimagrumab, particularly when used in combination with Wegovy, is showing promise in helping patients lose weight while preserving muscle mass. They did do a study that showed that the combination of bimagrumab and semaglutide resulted in a significant reduction in fat mass and preservation of lean muscle. For muscle wasting disorders, it is also being explored as a potential treatment for conditions like sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss, and muscle wasting associated with diseases like COPD and inclusion body myositis. And the administration is intravenously, and it's been given monthly. So this will be a monthly injection. So I think that is something that it's just another amazing thing to look for. Amazing drug that I feel like is definitely going to be a big help in them coming up with these muscle preserving lean mass preserving clinical treatments, because obviously that's like a thing now. People are looking at the muscle, or trying to look at ways to not only lose weight but preserve muscle, right? Outside of just resistance training, like a retatrutide, which actually will kind of like burn fat even while you're not working out, right? So this is something where they would preserve and maybe even build muscle without working out. So just imagine if you are working out in conjunction with that, it literally changes your whole makeup, right? So we have no excuse, for certain things with all of the tools that are coming and being laid out before us. Obviously, cost is a thing. So that's something that I'm hoping is able to be worked out with insurances and with these companies, hopefully dropping the prices so that way they become accessible for everybody, right? And in that way, people don't feel compelled to go to compound, because obviously people go where they need to get as healthy as possible, right? So yeah, that's kind of like, what those are the things I kind of wanted to really jump on and talk about this week. Just keep everybody abreast to, what's going on, with myself. Just trying to keep the videos, interesting, and thought-provoking, and at the same time educational. So I'm trying to squeeze all of that in, and organic, like I like to say, because it is absolutely organic. This is one take. I'm not doing a bunch of editing, or any editing I should say at all, because I don't. I get on and I just talk, speak from my mind and my heart to everyone, about things like this, because it's super important, and it helps me to continue my journey. Talking about it is somewhat therapeutic and helpful for me to just, obviously also continue to keep going, and just making sure that, staying on that track towards ultimate, health. So that's pretty much all I have. If I think of something, I usually will cover it in the following week's video. I do the post. I post quite a lot, so that way things that I'm saying, I do I back it up with graphs and information, and that's what I did after that call. I wanted people to see what I was talking about when I did the quick short. I wanted them to also see some graphs and charts and things in regards to that Lilly call. So I posted that there, and then the Retta stuff, because there have been more information coming out from the trials, and people are getting to see what that really looks like, and they're finding that it might be a really, really, really good thing. Now, obviously, everything isn't going to be for every singular soul, right? Because there's different things that go on with people that don't allow them to be able to do certain stuff. Like, I'm not sure if I would ever even be a candidate for Retta because of my irregular heartbeat, right? And with that speeding up the heart rate at the way that it does, it's probably not something that I would take, even though I think it's something that would be amazing for me. I think I more would have to stick with something like tirzepatide, which I am. I'm on brand 7.5 because even like I said, with the 10, it increased that rate. But just like others, sometimes you take stuff, another time, and it gives you a different, reaction. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Hopefully, with as much success as I've had on the 7.5, I think the 10 is probably all I need. I probably wouldn't even need a Retta. You know what I mean? So because the average person won't. Retta will be for people that are like me when I started, that have the ability to take it, meaning like your BMI is flat out over a 40, like my BMI was a 43. So without much else to talk about, I pretty much would have qualified, right? Because of how far obese I was. And I try to clarify, I wasn't just overweight, I was obese, right? And so, that's something that we need to normalize, breaking down, right? So being that obese, I would have probably qualified. But if you're not, and let's say you're a bit smaller, you still probably have to have a BMI of about like 35 plus comorbidities, right? So it's not something they're gonna just hand out to everyone, but it is something that will help those that need the help, because you got some people that are, women that are, maybe over 300 pounds, men that are maybe over 400 pounds, that need that, extra help because they have a lot of weight to lose, right? Whereas something like Wegovy that they've been taking might not necessarily be able to get them far enough. Tirzepatide might be really good, but Retta might be, extremely good, right? So that's just kind of what the conversation really is about, just really clarifying those parameters. It's not something that would need, probably the cells of, like a Zepbound or what have you, to actually make a big dent, because it'll be probably much more expensive. But hopefully with insurance, affordable for those that actually clinically need it, right? So there's that, man. There's all the topics. Not going to make the video much. Don't want to make the video much longer. I'll cut it right here. Like I said, if you're somebody who actually is looking to start GLP-1s, send them my way. Have them like and subscribe to the channel, so that way they don't miss anything. Hit your notifications, because soon I will start to try to start going live when I can, having interactive conversations, because I think that would be amazing if I can actually have interactive conversations that's not within comments. I'm planning on doing a few interviews to grow my channel, because I like to grow. I think that the information I'm giving, based on everything I've seen, probably deserves to be heard by more people. I'm not, I don't have too many subscribers yet, but I will say the subscribers that I do have are actual amazing people, and it's not always about the quantity, it's more the quality, and I have very quality subscribers. I do, while my subscribers are low, they're quality people, and a lot of them are big content creators and have big pages of their own. So even though I don't have a massive audience, I do have a quality audience, and I appreciate all of them, and I appreciate anybody that sees this video and shares it and likes to send someone to subscribe and like the page, okay? So how I like to end all of my videos, we're in it together. Obesity warriors, stand up. Later, have a good night.